Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters, for that warm welcome. Genetic genealogy, or depending on where you come from in the country, how to prove mom and dad are not brother and sister. So I've been chasing the family tree for 25, 28 years, somewhere along that lines. And my dad, when I was a kid, used to say, "We're related to Sir Francis Drake." So when I first started in the ancestry and genealogy, I set out to prove that we were related to Sir Francis Drake. Come to find out, Sir Francis really didn't have any documented children. He had a lot of illegitimate kids, but none of them documented. His brother did. So my journey started in building a family tree, and I hit what's referred to as a brick wall. So at about 1790 or so, I couldn't find the next generation past individuals whose name was John Drake, my great-great-grandfather. One day I was poking around in Ancestry, and I found some documents and some other trees that gave me an aha moment, and I felt that I had found a way through that brick wall. Many of those individuals had taken Y-DNA tests at Family Tree DNA to prove the paternal line, and so I ordered a test. 8 weeks later, the results came back, and not only was I not associated with that Drake line, I had no Drake matches. There was some Thomases, some Andersons, and about 8 guys named Ferguson. And I went, what the hell does that mean? That prompted me to take every genetic test known to man. So I took the mtDNA test, which is a mitochondrial DNA. Mitochondrial DNA is passed from mother to child, and it's a good way to trace the female line back, but it doesn't really do a whole lot for us guys if you're trying to trace your great-grandfather. I also took autosomal tests with Ancestry, 23andMe, and Family Tree. So autosomal tests are genetic tests of the 22 other chromosomes, and they are the combination of the DNA of your 16 great-grandparents. So the nice thing about an autosomal test is you can go up the tree. It doesn't have to be male to male. It can be you to grandma to great-grandpa, and then back down the same way, male to female, to second cousins, third cousins, fourth cousins. So a year went by, and I had no luck figuring out where this Ferguson connection came from, and then it happened. I got a match to a woman on Ancestry DNA as a second cousin, and there were no Drakes in her line, but her 2 brothers lived in Detroit, Michigan, where my Drake grandparents lived, and so the detective work started. So I started trying to figure out who these 2 guys were. Came to find out that one of them was an auto worker, as was my Drake grandfather. Found someone on Ancestry that had built a tree around George Lester Ferguson, the man of interest. Finally reached out, got a hold of that person, and started a conversation with them. And I asked them, are there any living male relatives left from George? Because George was born in 1895. Came to find out that, lo and behold, there was a son, and he was in Murrieta, California, of all places.
Oh, yeah.
So I got a hold of Larry Ferguson's phone number, called him one night, and said, "You're going to think I'm a nut, but let me tell you this story." So I told him a little bit on the phone. Yeah, he didn't hang up. He obliged me. I told him a little bit on the phone. I said, "I'd really like to meet with you in person so I can show you the stuff that I've found online in Ancestry and the tree that I've built." And he said, "Sure, come on over." So I went over, spent about 2 hours with him, presented all of the material. And when I was done, I said, "Larry, would you do me a favor? If I pay for the DNA test, would you test for me to prove my theory that your dad is my grandfather?" And he said, sure, I'd be happy to. So I ordered the test, showed up a week later, I dropped it off at his house. 8 weeks later, I got the results back. Larry Ferguson is my dad's half-brother, my uncle. And his dad is my real grandfather. Since then, I've met a dozen cousins. Many of them have taken the DNA test at Ancestry.com. And it's amazing to see all of these people. The family reunion is in June, and I'm going. And they're so excited to meet me and have me come, and we're just going to have a great time. I'm going to take this little laptop. I'm going to take a projector. I'm going to show them the tree. I'm going to show them the census reports and the World War II draft registration from Larry that he filled out, and all of the things that had led me to them in this discovery of I'm a Ferguson. So I hope I've given you a little bit of information about the different DNA types of testing. I hope if you have any questions or you're thinking about possibly doing a DNA test for genealogy, you can ask me a bunch of questions. Here's the thing, if you are thinking about this, or if someone in your family is working up a genetic tree, you want to test the oldest living member of the family. That gives you the best possibility of tracing your lines back. But yeah, I'm open to any kind of questions. Thank you for your time and attention.